Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We appreciate you spending the next half hour or so with us. My name is Amanda and I will be your host today. Please feel free to contact me with any assistance that you need or questions you have by typing into the chat box or by sending an email to support@kit.org. And the slide note handout for today's webinar is available in our Online Learning Center in the Launch tab under Watch Webinar for this corresponding series. And today's webinar is your orientation for the Certificate of Inclusive Practice in Military Settings. And your presenters are Janet George, Heather Wycheck, and Jen McCool. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Janet George to start us off.
Thank you, Amanda, and welcome everyone. We're really excited to offer this course again and to have you learning with us. Before we get started into the webinar, I would like to introduce Anna Luther, our Curriculum Director. And Anna, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, hi everybody. This is Anna. I just wanted to pop in and say hi. I've been communicating with some of you as we've been getting the course up and running and the registration process going, and so I just wanted to pop on and say hi and welcome, and we are so excited to have you as part of the course. There's so many names that are familiar from site visits that we've all done, so we're excited to work with you in this other capacity. Janet and Heather are going to be fantastic instructors for you throughout this course, but I also wanted to let you know that if there's any questions or challenges or other things that happen to come up, I'm sort of a behind the scenes person who am glad to provide any kind of support and assistance that you need. So you can always feel free to contact me, and I think everybody at this point probably has my email because I think I've emailed you along the way throughout this registration process. So thank you so much, and we look forward to having you in the course. Thanks, Janet.
Thank you, Anna.
Hey Janet, before we continue, some people are having audio issues. If you can hear us, could you please type into the chat box to let us know that you can hear us?
It looks like there's a mix of can and cannot hear.
Okay, it looks like we do have a mix, so I'll go ahead and address anyone who's still having audio issues, but I did just send out a phone number that people could call into if they're having trouble hearing over their speakers.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing that, Amanda. I appreciate your support. So we'll give just a couple of minutes for people to dial in. Again, this is Janet, and I'm going to start the session and then transition to Heather and then Jen McCool, who is a magician in my view, has done a lot of work with getting the course ready, will actually walk you through how to access the different parts of the course. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. This session is designed to give you an overview of what to expect from the course itself. The structure is really different from modules that you have taken previously. And so we want to make sure that you understand the process to access all of the parts of the course and help you be most successful. And again, as Anna said, we are available to you throughout the course if you're struggling with how to access something or if you need some support in just the content. The agenda that's shown, we're going to first talk about the course outcomes and then the course elements, talk about the CEU earning potential, and then Jen will give the technology demo, and we will have time at the end for questions and answers. I strongly encourage you, if you have questions as we go, type them into the chat box, and we'll be monitoring that as well so that we can answer questions as we go as much as possible. There's 7 overall learning outcomes for this course, and I'd like to just walk through them very quickly. Lead a management discussion about the guiding principles of inclusive practice. And as you'll learn, we actually want you to do those activities, not just think about and write about what it might look like. So these are things we actually want you to do. Facilitate activities designed to help staff explore and manage their expectations for individuals and groups of children or youth. Design strategies for gathering meaningful parent and staff input on accommodations and supports. Use an information gathering process to describe a child or youth's needs from a strengths-based perspective. Draft measurable support plan strategies for an individual child or youth. Apply observational assessment techniques to evaluate the effectiveness of a support plan strategy. And then finally, implement coaching practices to support inclusion within military programs. And what we mean by that is your program. We would like you to implement the coaching practices. So I'm going to turn it over to Heather. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet, and hello, everybody. As they said, my name is Heather Wycheck, and I'm going to be one of your instructors during this course. I'm very excited that we're going to be starting off another cohort. So what I'm going to dive into today is the course elements and what those expectations are going to look like for you as learners. The course will officially begin on January 27th, which is next Sunday. We do open the course on a Sunday so that it allows those learners who are in various time zones, possibly overseas, to have access to it on their work day starting on Monday. So do know that we don't have an expectation for you to do this on the weekends. It's just that's when we are going to be setting that opening time. So the course is going to have four-week sessions. So what that means is it's going to be 16 weeks in duration, and each session will consist of a self-paced e-module, which should take you about 30 minutes to complete. There's going to be a 1-hour webinar that will be presented live, but we will also record it, so if you can't attend live, you'll have the ability to go back and view it at a later time. Generally, those recorded webinars are posted within 48 hours. You will also respond to a prompt in our discussion forum, and we're going to ask you to respond to a peer to be able to create that dialogue. And as we go through the demonstration later, you'll see how that forum looks, and we'll talk through that with you as well. Then you're going to conduct an action activity, which is going to be in the field practice. It's something we are going to ask you to implement with some of the staff at your site, as Janet mentioned earlier. And it's going to be connected to one of the concepts that we've discussed in the e-module and or the webinar. So you're going to have an opportunity to talk with a KIT staff member by phone about your action activity. So those will be what we call consultation calls, and you'll have a KIT staff member available to you to discuss that. You may want to talk about it with your KIT consultant prior to conducting the action activity to talk through the logistics of it, making sure you understand the expectations. Or perhaps you might want to facilitate the activity and then speak to your KIT consultant after the fact to do a debrief of how it went and what you felt about that activity. For the first session, though, we are going to ask that you have that consultation call prior to completing your action activity so that we can go through some of those expectations with you. And then along with that action activity, we're going to ask you to write a summary and turn that in as an assignment that will be uploaded in the Online Learning Center. So you're going to have access to a course syllabus that details the topics for all the modules and the webinars, discussion prompts, and the names of the activities, in addition to rubrics that will give you the expectations of all of the elements that we are looking for. You'll also have access to the course calendar so that you know when everything starts and when everything's due, and all of that is going to be available to you in the Online Learning Center. We strongly encourage you to pay attention to due dates so that you are keeping track of when each of those elements are due. You may have the opportunity to turn in things past the due date, but the rubric will tell you how many points will be deducted for any late assignments. So just as a brief recap, for those 16 weeks, the course is going to start on January 27th, and it will end on May 18th. So it is kind of like a full semester-long course. So in order to pass the course, you must earn at least an 80%. Each element, except for the consultation calls, is graded. So you can expect that there's going to be a 5-question multiple choice quiz at the end of each e-module and at the end of each webinar. The forum posts are graded based on their relevance, their reflectiveness, and promoting group learning. You'll see that the specific requirements in the syllabus will kind of break that down for you a little bit more so that you can see what we're looking for in each category. The summary of your action activity is graded based on the description of the activity, how you connect that material, connect that activity to the course material, and your summary of how the staff responded. So again, the specifics for that are in the syllabus. If you pass the course, you're going to earn 3.0 CEUs. So this course is going to require all or nothing, which means we don't offer any partial CEUs. So it's either a pass or you don't pass kind of situation. And so at the end of the course, once all of the work is graded, we will be able to then, if you have a passing score above 80%, we will then be able to issue the certificate, which you will then be able to go and print on your own. So that gives you the logistics piece of what we're looking for as far as elements and expectations. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Jen McCool, who will then be giving us the demonstration of the Online Learning Center.
Okay, great. Thanks, Heather. I am going to share my screen here, so give me 1 second so I can pull that up so that I can go ahead and walk you through. Great. So I'm sharing my screen now. If anybody's not able to see, type in the chat box so that we can help you out there. And so as Heather mentioned, my name is Jen, and I'm part of KIT's e-learning and digital team here. So I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of how to access the course, and there are a couple of different ways that you're going to be interacting and submitting your assignments and your activities. So I just wanted to make sure everyone felt comfortable in navigating the Online Learning Center. So you'll see here on the screen, this should be, when you log into your account on the Online Learning Center, this should be close to what you see. And in order to access the course, you're going to scroll down, and you'll see once you get down a little bit toward the bottom here, there's My Items. And My Items will list the courses that you're enrolled in. So you'll see here, should have inclusive practice. I made a little example for our orientation today. And so you're going to be able to click either on the name of the course itself, or you can click on the play button, either one. And this will actually take you to the overview of the course. So this is where you're going to be spending most of your time is within the course itself here on the OLC. And so this overview page, you'll see you have a couple tabs up here. And the overview page is really just going to give you the description, and then you'll see this update section here. So sometimes your instructor might post an announcement, and you'll see that pop up here if your classmates post in the forums. So you can sort of land on this page and you'll just see current things that have happened. And the other important thing to notice here on the overview page is the view transcript. So as the course progresses in your 16 weeks, at some point you're probably going to want to know your grades, and you'll access that through the My Transcript, the View Transcript button there. And so you'll be able to see, you can click on your assignment tabs here, and you'll see when it was submitted, when it was evaluated, and you'll see the points that you were awarded. So if you ever need to check on your progress, you can just do that through the View Transcript. And then
Jen, this is Anna. Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Please.
So
yeah.
On the overview page, do you mind going back to the overview tab?
Sure.
One question that has come up throughout the times that we have run this course is over on the right-hand side where it says My Stats, and it shows you your progress. So those pieces where it says module attempts and lesson attempts, they will fill in along the way when you have completed certain items. And I know one of the things that tends to become a little bit confusing is on the lesson attempts. So in the Online Learning Center, a lesson could be an e-module, but a lesson could also be just a document. So when the lesson attempts say this many attempted, this many completed, and then that there's 39 total, if you do not hit all 39, that's okay. that may be some document that you didn't necessarily need or something else that's in the course. So, but what you want to pay attention to are the module attempts and the test attempts, because that's going to let you know if you have completed all of those e-modules, all of the webinars, and if you've taken all of the tests that you need to take. So lesson attempts is a little bit misleading in whether or not you've completed it, but pay attention to the other pieces. Those will be more useful in letting you know if you've done everything you need to do. And Heather and Janet will be tracking everything along the way. So if you're ever confused about that and wondering, you can always email your instructor and they will let you know if you are up to date.
Great. Excellent. And just so everyone knows, we're going to be hitting a lot of information here quickly. We are recording this webinar, so don't feel like you have to have this mastered in the next 5 minutes. You can refer back to this section of the recording in future when you need to. Okay, so to access the course itself, you go to the Launch tab, and this is where you'll see really all of the meat, so to speak, of the course is going to be here in the Launch tab. So you will actually, on yours, you will not necessarily see all of the different sessions right now because they haven't been released. They will be released on their dates, but you should certainly have the resources, and you should probably be able to see session 1, although you might actually not yet because it's not released yet. So, but as they're released on the dates, you will see them, and you can go ahead and just navigate by clicking on the tabs here. So you'll see here's the information for the orientation webinar. You all found this today, obviously. So there's the description, the slide note handout. If you want to go ahead and download and print the slide notes from today, when you click on the item here, you'll see you can navigate and view the next page, previous next, and then you'll see the download button there. And that will take you to download whatever handout is accessible there. So go ahead and start here on this Getting Started tab and read the technical information, read about the course format. You'll see here the time commitment, the grading rubric that we have here, what everything is worth points-wise, and your calendar. But the most important thing before you really dive into the course is to really look at this technical information, and whatever browser you use, go ahead and in advance, before your due dates, make sure that you pull up all of the resources and materials using your browser. Because sometimes you might be on a computer in your office and it's maybe an older browser number or older browser version, and maybe the plugins are outdated. Maybe you don't have something installed that you need installed. So before you get down to the wire, before the night before the due date, make sure that you're accessing all of the course materials and playing the videos and downloading the information that you need in advance. And if you have trouble, any technical support questions, please email support@kit.org. Okay. The description of the course is really just the general description and the learning outcomes that Janet just touched on there. I highly recommend that everyone take a moment and read about your instructor, and Janet and Heather have created some lovely welcome videos to welcome you to the course. Get to know them, get to know their background, watch their videos so that you know where they're coming from and what their background is. The course schedule you'll see here is essentially a list of due dates for all of the webinars, the e-modules, the forum posts, and your homework activities, as well as your consultation calls. So this is going to be really important in terms of keeping yourself on deadlines, meeting deadlines. And the course overview here is essentially your syllabus. So you'll see here it's a pretty hefty document, and it is really, really in-depth, and it's going to cover all of the different activities and the grading rubrics and all of the different information that you might need. If this was if we were on a college campus, this would be the syllabus here. So this document is going to be really important. And you can see here, of course, you have the download button. So you can go ahead and download and refer to this as you need it as you're going through the course. And you'll see here that there are some key locks on certain items. So you might think, okay, well, I can't access those yet. which is actually because you'll see this item here that has an asterisk by it is required. So you actually can access those items once you go through the required item. So you'll see each lesson, each session is going to have a pre-assessment and a post-assessment, and you'll need to go ahead and complete this in order to basically unlock the session and unlock all of the materials. So we'll just do this real quick so I can show you here. This pre-assessment, very quick. It's not going to take a whole lot of time, but you do want to go ahead and give some thought to these answers. It'll just help you be strategic in your learning. We give you some suggestions here on how to maximize your learning. And then once you complete the pre-assessment, you're going to exit, and then you'll see that here on session 1, all of these items have now unlocked. So once you complete the required item, everything, you have access to the entire lesson for session 1, everything's unlocked. So you'll see on each session there's a description and a calendar. So it clarifies the learning outcomes that you'll be working on for this particular session, and again hits the calendar. So you'll see here when the start date is, when things will be either open if it's a self-guided learning, or when it's happening. So you'll see here the information for the next webinar, when your consultation calls will start, the due date, and then how many points all of those items are worth. And so the first item you'll see in session 1 is introductions. So there are a couple different ways that you can access the forum. You'll have several different forum posts that are required as part of your assignments. So here in the actual course, you can see there's a link. You can either click here, or you can click up here to go to the forum. Either way, there's a couple of different ways to navigate. So when you go to the forum, you'll see all of the forum topics are here already. So you're going to find the topic that you want, and you'll see here there's an announcements topic. That is actually just for your instructor. So your instructor, Heather or Janet, will post important announcements, housekeeping items, maybe reminders on due dates, whatever it might be. Those will go in the announcements thread. And then for you, when it's time for you to make your forum posts, you're going to find the thread to post in. So here we're doing our introduction. So we go to introductions, and I think several of you have actually already made your introduction post in your course, which is great. And so make sure you click into the thread itself. You're going to post reply. If you've ever posted on an online forum before, it's going to be very similar. So you'll just post your reply here. You'll see you can attach files, you can upload images, you can add links. So it's pretty interactive here. If you want to change your font size, don't go too crazy, but you can really put whatever information you want. And then what you can do is save drafts and then publish. And you'll see here it goes right back. So student posted, and you can see all of the replies there. And then you just navigate back to the topics there. And you'll see on some of your forum posts there are some accompanying files and rubrics because you are graded on those. So if you want to access those files, they're going to just be right here as an attachment to the thread itself. And you can just click on that, and that'll download for you. And again, you're always going to post reply inside the topic thread itself. You are never going to have to worry about creating topic. You navigate to an existing topic, and you post your reply. Okay, so that's the forum. And if we go back here, you'll see then the e-learning module is the next item. And the e-learning modules are, that's a self-guided item. So it's pre-recorded, and you can just access that, again, if you go back to your calendar here, whenever it opens. And then you just have to access it and take the accompanying oh, there's actually not a quiz there. So there is a quiz inside the module, sorry. So you just have to make sure that you get it done by the due date, and you'll just click on that, and it just opens in a new tab there. And the video plays, and you complete the e-module, and then you'll go back. There you go. Okay, so there's an assessment within the e-module that you have to complete. All right. So we go back, and there's an accompanying handout. Again, you can easily download with the download button here, and you're going to fill this out while you watch the e-module. All right, and then the webinar, again, since all of you managed to find our webinar today, hopefully you were able to navigate to that pretty quickly. So you can see the description has the date and the time and a quick description with the learning objectives for the content. And then when it comes to actually watch the webinar, you're just going to click here to watch live. That's not live right now because we're obviously haven't hit that webinar yet. And then there's a slide note handout that you can download and print. And then after each webinar there is a quiz. So you do have to take the quiz in order to be graded for watching the webinar. So this is really, really important. You're going to take the quiz here. You just start it and it'll guide you through it and you'll submit it. Okay, and then information for your consultant check-ins, and then your discussion topics. So this is also graded, and the discussion topics are in the forum. So again, you can access either here, click here, or just up here in the forum. And this has a link to the grading rubric and a quick little etiquette guidelines. You know, we want to make sure everyone is adhering to kind of common sense, etiquette guidelines as we're posting. And then the other really important thing is your assignments. So you'll see here underneath discussion topics is your action activity. So you'll see the assignment listed here. Tells you the due date, tells you the points, it's got a description, and it's got your files. Each assignment is going to have a checklist. So you're going to start with the checklist, and then there's going to be a rubric to show how your assignments are going to be graded, and then the actual activity / homework itself. So you will see here that there is also an assignments tab. You can view the assignments on the tab, and if you want to view your assignment feedback once you've submitted it and your instructor has graded it and provided feedback to you, that's where you can, it's sort of the easiest place to view it is on the assignments tab. But in order to actually submit your assignment, you should do it through the course itself under the launch. And that is you'll save your file to your computer with whatever file name you need. And then you'll just go to select and upload file. You'll select your item there and upload it. If you need to make any remarks and just clarify to your instructor something about your assignment, go ahead and do it there. And then you'll hit submit. And then it'll be uploaded and your instructor will receive your assignment for grading. So you can upload multiple files. If you have a couple of different files you need to do, you can go ahead and delete them once you've uploaded them as well. If you accidentally submit your assignment before you upload your document, we can reset that for you. You just need to contact support@kit.org, and they can do that for you. But try to be cognizant as you're going through and make sure you upload your files before you submit. Okay, and then there'll be a post assignment or a post assessment for each session as well. Okay, so I believe that is, so you'll see here, as Anna mentioned on the My Stats, once we've gone through a couple things, you'll see. So again, don't pay attention to the lessons, but you'll see the e-module and the test. So I believe that is everything on the OLC, unless any of the instructors have anything real quick that they want me to cover, but I will also be here for the Q&A at the end if anybody has questions.
This is Anna again. Can I add something?
Please.
So just one kind of, I guess you could say, quirky thing in our forum is that it is not a threaded discussion in terms of when you're replying to one of your colleagues, you won't actually be able to reply to them in the same way you can in something like a Facebook page where you're directly replying to their comment. So what we're going to ask you to do, it's just a part of the system. It's not a setting we can change. The folks who run this platform, that is a decision that they have made. So what we'll ask you to do when you are replying to a colleague, as Heather mentioned, that's part of the requirements is creating discussion by replying to a colleague. We'll just ask that you say their name. So you might say something like, maybe Donna has entered a reply into the forum post. You might say, in response to Donna's post, da-da-da-da-da, and go ahead and make your post. Exactly. So as Jen is typing, just so that indicates not only to the person that you are responding to what they have to say and maybe adding or answering a question that they may have brought up, but that's also for the instructors to be able to easily kind of navigate and see how the flow of conversation is going since it is not threaded. So each time you'll have to do a new, essentially post a reply back instead of replying directly to a person. So I hope that made sense, and we know that that is not that's not the most effective way to have a discussion forum, but unfortunately that is where we are. So that is our accommodation to be able to make sure that we can have as much of a back and forth conversation in the forum as possible. And again, just let us know if that didn't make sense and you have questions around that. So thanks.
Okay, great. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back over to, I'm actually not sure who's next.
Thanks, Jen. This is Heather. I'm going to take it
Heather.
back. All right, and one little comment that I also wanted to add, we'll probably get into this a little more as the course starts, because I know today you're digesting a lot of information, and as you get into the course and get started, some of it's probably going to be filed somewhere else in your brain that you can't access. So please let us know if you have questions. But one of the things that you might experience with the forum as well is when you're going into post, you're always going to want to click on the topic. For example, the topic will say introductions, or the topic might say session 1 discussion. Always click on that topic, and then you're going to post reply. You're never going to need to create a topic, which is often another button that learners like to click because it's bright and orange. So just remember your button is always post reply. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is thinking about the idea of connecting your work to course content. I know in my previous experience with instructing this course, when we talk about course content, the things that we refer to are the e-learning modules and the webinar, because that is the content in which we're delivering to you. That's our lesson that we're teaching. So when we're asking you to tie your work back to course content, we're always wanting you to reference back to one of those two items. So I'm hoping that helps give a little clarification, but like I said, as we go, we will definitely help support you through that process. So what is coming up? What happens next? Well, on the 27th of January, the course access is going to open, so you will be able to start looking at session 1. I believe some people have been able to access it already because I have seen some introduction posts in there as well. So know that it officially opens on January 27th. You're going to want to take the session 1 pre-learner assessment, and then your session 1 e-module will open up. So you have that information will start flowing. On Thursday, January 31st, that is when we are going to do our very first live webinars. So live webinar meaning this is when we start delivering the first bit of content for the course in a live fashion. But there is one notation that I need to make. As you can see on the slide, it says that it's at 10 a.m. Pacific. We have had to make a schedule adjustment for this webinar. It's actually going to be at 12 noon Pacific, which would be 2 p.m. Central and 3 p.m. Eastern. So we had to move that webinar. It's the only one. All of the rest of them will remain at 10 a.m. Pacific except for January 31st. And we'll try to send you some reminders. And once that webinar is complete, then that's when the forum will open for you to be able to start posting and responding to those online discussions. So that is what we're looking at now as we get ready to move into this course and what is happening next. So we're going to go ahead and move into the question and answer session. If any of you have specific questions that have popped into your brain as we've been discussing, please go ahead and type those in the chat box now, and Amanda will filter those questions out to us.
Heather, this is Jana. I'd like to just make a quick statement too while people are typing in their questions. The intention of this course really is to support you in your work. And so one of the things, it was created for TNCs, but sometimes we have lead TNCs, and we also have sometimes behavior specialists and also the special needs managers from the CYS. So think about how this works in your capacity. So if an assignment is talking about going to classroom teachers, but you're a lead trainer, you may be doing the work with trainers. And these are those places where it's important for you to check in with your instructor or with your coach to figure out what's the best way for me to do this, because we want everything we're asking you to do to be meaningful in your real work life and to apply. And so when Heather talked about reflecting back on course content, we're also going to reflect on what's the impact in your work life and how is this supporting those people that you're supporting, whether they're frontline staff or they're other trainers. So just think about that too as you're going through this course, and make sure you're really making the best out of it and creating a toolbox that you'll be able to move forward with. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Janet. And I'm just keeping an eye open. I'm looking around to see if we have any questions coming in. Let's see. It looks like we have some stuff popping up, so let me scan through this really quickly. Okay, so we have a question here from Chris. Chris is saying, while doing the e-module, there was a page where I needed to put the 2 goals I wanted to work on, and somehow I must have hit enter and I only wrote one of the goals. There was no way to go back and add to it. Is that something Jen or one of you would be able to address?
That is, I believe you can navigate back. You might have to go back to the beginning of the e-module, but if you can't navigate there on your own, if you can't seem to find it, I would just go ahead and send an email to your instructor and just let them know what the other one was, so that they know that you did it. It just might not have gotten submitted into the e-module itself.
Great. Thank you, Jen. Okay, and Chris says thank you. Okay, Summer is saying, I will be off the afternoon of the 31st for my son's appointment. Do I complete those assignments through the recorded webinar?
Hi, Summer. This is Heather. So when it comes to the webinars, we are going to be delivering information to you where you'll be able to take some notes on a slide note handout, and then you'll have the opportunity to review the recorded webinar at your convenience whenever, if you're not able to attend live. The assignments will be due at a later date, so there's nothing specifically due on the 31st. As I look at my schedule here in front of me, you won't have, your online discussion will open, but it's not going to be due for another week or so after that. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Heather. Yep, it looks like it did. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in, but we'll just wait another couple minutes as you guys are percolating in your brains. And also as a reminder that this recording for this webinar will also be posted in the Online Learning Center. And we do try and get those out fast for you guys. So we usually have a 24-hour turnaround, and it's usually earlier than that. But sometimes it takes a little longer depending on staffing issues or other things that have come up. But so if you missed anything, if there were audio issues this time around, or if you had to leave early or come in late, you can always view the recording in the Online Learning Center within the next day or so.
This is Janet. Just to add on to Heather's response about missing the day of the webinar, those kinds of things. Once that opens, the online discussion opens after the webinar. You can start posting on that day, or you can wait. The initial post isn't due until the 13th, but I encourage you to do it before that, and then you have to respond to appear by the 15th. So really work with your calendar. I actually transfer the calendar onto my work calendar so I can make sure and see it. And then the following week on the 22nd is when your action activity is due, but you need to open that action activity after you watch the webinar so you see what the requirements are, because often it means you have to schedule a meeting with somebody, you've got to talk to somebody, you need to get feedback, those kinds of things. So if you opened your assignment the day it's due, you're not going to be able to get it done. So really work with that calendar and kind of figure it into your, we've tried to make it flexible to give you, to make it easier for you to put it into your regular work schedule, but that during that first week when the e-module opens up and then the webinar is recorded and put on, that's when you plan for the rest of the module, planning time for when you're going to get everything done so you can be as successful as possible.
Thank you, Janet. Okay, let's see. That's great, Summer. Thank you for that feedback. We're excited too. This course has been really successful since we've implemented it, and we've had great instructors, great feedback, and really valuable content across the board. I think everyone's been really happy with this program, so we hope you guys all enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Okay, I think that's probably going to wrap up our question and A portion. Any of our presenters, do you have anything else to add before we wrap up? Okay, it sounds like we're all good to go here. And don't worry though, if you do think of any questions after the fact, you can always email your instructor directly. And so again, we look forward to connecting with all of you again soon for the next assignment, and we'll also be in touch over the Online Learning Center forum. And we just appreciate you guys taking your time today to go through this content with us and introduce you to this course. We appreciate your hard work, and we look forward to continuing this work with you, but please let us know if there's anything that we can do to support you along the way. We thank you guys. We thank you, the presenters, for joining us and leading us today, and we hope everyone has a great day. Bye, everyone.